franchise that is the crux of why we are fans. The rich, amazing history of a team that reflects the attitude of this town's people and embodies the spirit of everyone sitting in these seats. But when we step back and look, there is one thing that from Philadelphia to Wilmington, from Haverford to Pennsauken, from Westchester to Allentown, cuts through it all and bonds us, every one of us. Every fall, it is the Eagles green that runs through the veins of the young and old, and the divides that exist between races and creeds, rich and poor, the 700 level and the lower bowl are all gone, and we are suddenly one.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of Fandemonium here on the AAT Sports Network on Aatbirds. I am Chip. That's Johnny, and today we are joined by the one, the only EROCK, Eric Emanuel. You know him as EROCK especially from Twitter, where he has over 23,000 followers. I mean, this dude you've seen him at the Eagle Stadium. You've heard him at the Eagle Stadium. He even says himself, he proudly reps Section 225 up at the link. So we are so happy that he's going to join us today and tell us some of his great stories. So, EROCK, thanks for joining us, buddy. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. That was a very kind and humbling intro, and allow me to first start off by saying what a fan I am of what you guys do, especially with and I've been meaning to ask you, and if you want to dive into it, please go ahead. Bringing back some of those throwback clips, some of those old clips that you guys dig up. I mean, I don't know where you find that stuff, but it's such a trip down memory lane. Honest to God, for a fan like me, that's like, shit, I remember. Oh, my God, I forgot about it. Oh, I was there for that play. Oh, I was there for that game. You know, can I ask you a question, like right off the top? Where do you find all this shit?
So Johnny has a brand new baby at home. So what Johnny does is during those night feedings, he scours the deepest, darkest, most scary parts of the internet and finds all these historic Eagles videos and puts them together.
It's absolutely amazing. I'm a big fan of what you guys do, and please keep it coming. Don't stop. You guys, listen, everybody who has found success doing social media in Philadelphia sports has found their own unique niche and their own unique voice. And certainly you guys have found in a sea of just the same shit over and over and over again, you guys have found a real unique niche that brings value to like the fan base. And that is what you guys are pumping out on social media. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Like I said, I'd try something different. You want to set yourself apart, and I got some pretty cool ones coming. I have them all saved in the drafts. You get that, you can just post. It makes it nice and easy, but I got some cool ones coming up and just certain things, but I do appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it.
And congratulations on the baby.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think the first thing that we need to know, and again, we're gonna play this slideshow behind you, because as I was putting this together, man, you got some cool pictures that we are gonna have to have conversations about here.
Yeah.
So I think my first question that I have to ask you is, what is your first Eagles memory?
So, my first Eagles memory, I'm going to do the first Eagles game that I remember, and then first Eagles memory. When I was a kid growing up, I'm the oldest of 4 brothers, and a Monday night game or a Sunday night game, we had a pretty strict bedtime. So, we were in bed. Maybe we got to watch the first quarter, and then we had to go to bed, boom, boom, boom. And my mother was the Eagles fan of the family. We'd all me and my 3 brothers be crowded upstairs by the stairs, and we would be listening to what we could hear of the broadcast, but more specifically, listening to my mother's reaction, because she couldn't help herself. She'd be screaming like, shit, like all these expletives or something like that. Or, hey, oh my God, he dropped the ball. So we would get the play-by-play late night when we're supposed to be in bed from my mother shouting at the TV. That's my earliest memories as an Eagles fan. The earliest game I remember being to, because we're kids and they kind of blur together. But I was there for 4th and 1. I do remember being there for the 4th and 1 game against Dallas, and how even at a young age, when you're that young, you don't have your head completely wrapped around the game, but just knowing how monumental and how much that would be remembered decades later. I did grasp that young. You don't really have the full grasp of the game. You're just kind of there observing and, kind of taking it all in and really kind of cutting your teeth and just kind of finding your fandom. And, but I do remember at that game in that moment realizing like, wow, this is a pretty big deal. Like, people are going to be talking about this for a long, long time. And they certainly do. I mean, people still bring up the 4th and 1 game.
No, and I think it's good what you said, like, and you mentioned about, you're young, you don't really remember all that, maybe like the intricacies of the game, the little bit, because you're not focusing as like
Right.
that. Like for me, one of my first memories is, I can remember back, I think it was 97 when they played the Packers. It was a low scoring game, but I remember that game. I was at a buddy's house. I remember watching the game. I know the little parts, but I wasn't honed in on the game that I am now. But you remember those bits and pieces, about the game, about them, and I think that's a great point. Is you remember these memories and they're still in your head and in your mind. But I like that because a lot of people, when you ask them their favorite memory, they try and think of something that when they were absolutely involved in, into the game so much that they know everything. And at that point you weren't, but you still remembered, those little things. So I thought that I think it's a great point, because a lot of people don't really remember, certain little aspects of the game. But I absolutely love that memory. I think it's one of my favorite, what you said there, because a lot of people don't realize, when they're watching the game, in their earliest fandom. But I like that what you said there.
And it's important too, because you have the rest of your adulthood to break down X's and O's and break down tape and understand the intricacies. In a way, like, you have your entire adulthood to understand the intricacies of the game and break down film and really start diving deep into the X's and O's. But what really shapes us as fans is those early on moments. When they talk about the Philadelphia fan base being passionate, it's not because, they looked up the stats or, they broke down film. That's not it, man. It's all those childhood memories that are so deeply rooted and deeply seated in our souls that the rest of it just comes naturally. So it's always fascinating to hear people's earliest memories, because those are the things that cement it's the cornerstone of what makes us Eagles fans.
So I'm looking at some of the pictures that you have posted up here, and you've really done a lot with this organization that you love. Yeah. So what is the coolest thing that your fandom has allowed you to do?
I really think it was working for the Eagles at one point for 2.5, 3 years. Being an on-air guy, I kind of started the YouTube channel on a whim when I was living in Philadelphia. I moved from Jersey to Philly. I really didn't know anybody. I didn't even really know the area that I was living in. I just knew that I loved the Eagles. I loved talking birds, and YouTube was just kind of kicking off at that point. Mm-hmm. Me and probably 4 other guys talking about Eagles football. And so much like anybody, like you guys doing your podcast, or anybody that does a podcast or does a live stream or a YouTube channel, you kind of like cut your teeth, right? You kind of find your voice and work through the kinks. And after a couple of years, like, it started gaining some real traction. And I was at a season ticket holder event. I'm a big fan of PhiladelphiaEagles.com guys, and just kind of approached them and just said, hey, listen, I'm a big fan of what you guys do. You got the best social media team and the best coverage online and the best.com team of any NFL team out there. And I just want to let you know, keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, I got this little, you know, kind of little shit YouTube channel. And they were like, oh, no, we know who you are. We've seen it. I like that. My eyes got real wide. And they're like, you know what, we should probably do something. We have an idea. We have a assignment for you. Listen, here's what we want you to do. We want you to go up to Radio City Music Hall and cover the draft for us.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
What? You want me to do what? They're like, yeah, we think you'd be a good fit, you know, interviewing fans. And what we want you to do is we want you to go with who's still a great friend of mine, Chris Barletto. We want you to go up to Radio City Music Hall, interview some fans, crack a couple jokes, like do a fan segment. And then, oh, by the way, so when the draft pick is announced and he does his whole media tour, we want you to find a corner to like bring your laptop. And what we're going to do is we're going to do like the first ever Skype call of a draft pick sitting at your laptop. Oh. And I'm like, you know, you're playing it cool. You're acting like you've been. Meanwhile, you're like, holy shit snacks. They're sending me to the draft. Like I got a badge and everything. And they picked Fletcher Cox. And I had to go to Fletcher. Like I had to track Fletcher Cox down and his agent and be like, hi, I'm Eric Emanuel from PhiladelphiaEagles.com. You need to follow me immediately. And go and drag Fletcher Cox to sit in front of my laptop and do the
wow
Skype live at the draft, NFL draft for PhiladelphiaEagles.com. And it worked. It was a huge success. I think I did the next 2 drafts after that. That budded into doing segments for Eagles Television Network on 2 different shows, NBC and CBS and ABC locally in Philadelphia. And that led to so many cool opportunities where, you know, I framed in my barn. I got a bro barn, but framed in my barn is the first ever paycheck I got from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like
that's awesome.
That's cool.
Free, you know, but they insisted that they pay me. But
okay,
yeah, that's
sounds good.
Awesome. Exactly. So that was the coolest opportunities, and after that, it just kind of took off into a lot of different things. And I still have great relationships with a lot of people down there, and you know, they help me out from time to time.
No, that's some awesome stuff. And you know, the one question I want to, you know, piggyback, you talked about your time doing that, and I want to get, and I'm going to exclude, we always do this, I'm going to exclude the Super Bowl. So I need your favorite Eagles moment, a game, memory, but not the Super Bowl because it makes it.
Because it's everybody's.
Yeah.
It's everybody's.
But totally understandable. So by far my favorite moment was the 2004 NFC Championship game when we were going to the Super Bowl in Jackson. Mm-hmm. My grandfather was the original Eagles fan in my family. He and my grandmother lived in Trenton, and in a day where you could, you know, roll over out of bed on a Sunday and say, "Hey, babe, you want to go down to Franklin Field and see a game?" and sit in line at the ticket box and pay your, I don't know, I couldn't even imagine what tickets were back then, you know, $5, you know, and go and sit at Franklin Field and watch the Eagles. He was the original Eagles fan, and, you know, big influence in my life. And every game, you know, he would be there. And then he got he got cancer, and that was real tough on all of us. And he to the point where I'd have to walk him up and down the steps at Veterans Stadium. Oh, wow. So when 2004, he died in 2005. So when 2004 rolled around, I mean, it was pretty much, he was still making his way up those steps to 225, but he was checking out. And right. I enjoyed the 2004 NFC Championship game infinitely more than I enjoyed actually the most recent one. Because besides the Vikings go down and score and then the Patrick Robertson interception, like by halftime, you knew the Eagles were winning that game.
Right.
Like your feet were up. You sang Fly Eagles Fly 4 times already. Like, we're going to the Super Bowl. Everybody can just chill and relax. The Falcons were in that thing until until the bitter end. And I just remember when Chad Lewis tiptoed in the end zone and just looking up at the sky and just, ugly man crying, and my grandfather was there, and just thinking, like, at the time, like, shit, win one before this man dies, please, I'm begging you,
Right.
before this man dies, at least let him know what it feels like. Obviously didn't happen, but that was my first taste of, like, holy shit, Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the first out of the 7 episodes we did. That was the first, like, emotional heartstring pulling on us there. So thank you for that.
And we all got him. We all got
That's
him.
true. It's
Like,
true.
Like, you guys were you born into it?
Yeah, 100%.
I was not, because I became a fan because of my across the street neighbors, who I'm going to have on the show, because that's the reason I became a fan, is because his dad was one of those 700 level type of fans,
Yeah.
rowdy, super. And I was hooked from there. My first Eagles party was the 1998 season opener against the Seahawks when they got their asses kicked 38-0. And it was a party. I've never had that, because my dad's a car guy. He wasn't a huge football fan. My parents are from Jersey. All my family mostly are Giants fans and stuff. So it's kind of funny, because I'm the Eagles fan and there's mostly just Giants fans. So for me, I was not born into it, but basically almost like the blood oath was doing a party, something like that. It was like, that's how I became a fan.
But what I'm getting at is we've all, whether you're born into it or you had a neighbor that you're just like, this guy's a maniac, I want to see what this is all about. We've all had our lives that shaped us as fans, right? So
absolutely.
And then, looking back on it, one of the reasons why the 2017 season and that Super Bowl was so special is because we all have people that were like, damn, so-and-so was here to see it,
Yeah.
So that we all got them, and that the Super Bowl, and I'm sure we'll touch on it, but the Super Bowl tugged on a lot of heartstrings for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, for multiple reasons. But yeah,
it did. You're exactly right. I mean, that was the thing that, again, in 2004, like we should have won that Super Bowl. We weren't supposed to even be in that Super Bowl in 2017 once Carson went down. And then I think that's why it hits home with all of us so much, because the underdog mentality, and that was one of your pictures, and we're this city that nobody likes, and what, screw it, we're going to beat the Patriots for our first Super Bowl, and Tom Brady and all. So I think it kind of had that feeling to it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, your favorite Eagle and why? I
mean, the obvious answer is Dawkins.
That's mine. So continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many people look at Brian Dawkins as their favorite. I feel bad. I feel really bad for the generation of Eagles fans that just know of Brian Dawkins as his Eagles great and just never had the opportunity to watch him play.
Yes.
On TV, and I'm like, yeah, you understand him as an Eagle. It's like a whole generation doesn't know what it's like to watch Lawrence Taylor if you're a Giants. And that's a shame. That guy was everything that we ever could have asked from anybody. He embodied what it was all about. He left it all on the field. If he made a mistake, he owned up to it in the press conference. Like, it's so weird when you see guys just have a complete and this goes for whether it's Sixers, Phillies, whatever it might be. Just guys that have a complete disconnect to the city. But then there's some people that are absolutely revered, and it's no secret formula. There's no like, oh man, they like this guy, but it didn't like that guy. I don't know why. No, it's obvious.
Yep.
Lay it all out there. Be honest, be transparent, give it your all. We can accept failure if we see that it means something. Hate the lose. We hate the lose. We've done enough of it. Make it bother you, dog. Like, make it like we want to see pain. If you lose, we want to see you upset.
Correct.
like, and other players that you see that are laughing on the sidelines or throwing interception and they're smiling, like that just it hurts us. Make it hurt you, and you can see everything that I could go on about Brian Dawkins on and on and on, as could a lot of people. But growing up, for obvious reasons, Eric Allen was my favorite Eagle because it's like, hey, there's an Eric playing. I still wear it. I've of all the Eagles that I've ever met, and of all the former Eagles that I've ever met, I've never met Eric Allen, and it kind of bothers me. I just want to meet him and shake his hand. I still wear 21 to this day on my jersey, just because it's him.
So I feel like I know the answer to this question then, but is Eric Allen a Hall of Famer?
I think he is. Yeah, I think it's going to take a while for him to get there, but I think he is. Yeah.
It's kind of like that Harold Carmichael route, unfortunately. Going to take a longer than
and there's guys like that where they were at the top of their position, at the top of their league. Like I was a baby when Harold Carmichael was playing, but you heard of him as like this all-time Eagle and stuff like that. But you talk to like older heads, and they were like, nah, Harold was the dude. Harold was like Randy Moss,
right?
That generation. Like he was a big deal.
Yeah. And, this kind of brings this question, you talked about, the Eagles, the team, the fan, everything. And this kind of culminates this question is, what about the Philadelphia Eagles that make them the best team fan base in football?
The word passion gets thrown around a lot and thrown around real easily. And I really thought for the longest time that was just us kind of tooting our own horn and kind of some sort of self-important thing that we would say about the city or the fan base. Because I assumed that everybody was like that. When you see the NBA championship, they always raise the trophy and they always, this is for the greatest fans in the NBA. All right, nobody gives a shit about Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like
Cleveland doesn't care about Cleveland.
Nobody gives a shit about Miami or whatever it might be. When they raise this up, this is for the best fans in the NHL. Nobody gives a shit about
the Nashville Predators.
Right. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So I always thought that was a little bit of like, tooting our own horn on our end. And then I started traveling and observing like firsthand what it was like to go to Tampa pre-Tom Brady during their home opener and the stadium being half empty, but of the people that were there, half Eagles fans. And then I went to LA to the Coliseum and during that 2017 season and saw it just taken over by ravenous West Coast Eagles fans. And then I would go up to Giants Stadium and I would see in Giants fans livid at the amount of Eagles fans there and so on and so forth. And it just keeps traveling and it never ceases to amaze me. They just take shit over. I mean, it's not even, they're not even apologetic about it. You go to like, yeah, bitch, where's the Atlanta fans? There's nobody wearing it. Like, you take note of that when you're so accustomed to being up here and people got the bumper stickers and, you walk by somebody and you say, go Birds and just the little nuances that we kind of take for granted. And we're like, yeah, everybody does this shit, right? I mean, this is football. This is life. This is what we do. You go down to Atlanta and like you might spot one or two people the entire time outside of game day wearing a Falcons jersey. You're like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Like it's just a different vibe. Why? Couldn't tell you. It could be all that cliche blue collar. It could be all of that. It could be all of that. But I just know I didn't believe it. And then as I got older and in my life, and we're just talking recently, like I started traveling when I was, 33 years old.
Right.
So this is like recent. I saw it firsthand. Baltimore. Remember that game? I think it was Doug Peterson's rookie year. He went for it on fourth down.
2016. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there was a Baltimore Ravens team. The last home game of the season, still in the hunt for a playoff berth, final home game of the season, and the stadium's like a quarter empty, and there's a dude one row down from me, Ravens fan, and he's sleeping.
Oh my God.
Do I know why? I don't know why. All I can do is tell you that I seen it firsthand. It's just different. And if you travel, you will be shocked at what you're used to in Philadelphia, and then go somewhere like Charlotte or another place that, and they just don't give a shit. They just, I mean, it's astonishing.
And I think that's, that's kind of why we decided to start doing this show, because we know that there are these Eagles fans out there. We know that we all want to talk about our love of this team. And it's just been really cool talking to, to yourself, to the 6 guests that we had before you, to the guests that we have coming up. So we appreciate your time with us talking about some Eagles. Again, where can the people find you on all of the socials?
Yeah, so I have to remember it all. Twitter, it's EROCK_Eagles.
Yes.
Instagram, it's the Mighty EROCK. YouTube, it's the Mighty EROCK, and I got a TikTok. I mean, I don't even check it. I just throw up my Instagram videos on TikTok. It's the Mighty EROCK.
Yeah, and there it is. So again, this has been episode 7 of Fandemonium here on the AAT Sports Network. I am Chip. That's Johnny, and we were joined once again by the Mighty EROCK. Thanks for tuning in. And as we end every show here on the AAT Sports Network, we end with a big positive and happy. Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Go Birds! Thanks for having me, guys.